The story begins with Lieutenant Junior Grade Mark Hale serving aboard the USS Armiger, captained by Isaac Garrett, played by Vic Mignogna. We've just entered orbit of Taurus 2, drawn in by the detection of a ship in distress. Speaking to the captain, we're thrown straight into the action. One can surmise this isn't our first rodeo.
Lieutenant, we've located the wreckage of a crashed ship down there. I need to get boots on the ground, find out what's going on. Take a landing party down to the surface. Assess the situation and look for survivors.
We'll beam down right away, sir.
Not so fast. We can't use the transporters due to atmospheric interference. You'll need to take a shuttlecraft down. Use the sensors to locate a safe landing site.
Sounds good, sir. So, no beaming in and out at will then. In 2267, 3 years ago from this game's perspective, Taurus 2 was the site of an unfortunate accident, where Kirk, in command of the Enterprise, almost lost a shuttle and several personnel to the planet's surface, and unruly natives.
Did you find a suitable landing area?
Yes, sir, there's a good-sized clearing close to the crash site.
Excellent. I've assigned Ensign Mears to your landing party. She's been to Taurus 2 before. Her insight will be quite valuable. Meet up with her and the others in the shuttle bay. Don't forget to grab a phaser in the armory on your way. From what I've read in Jim Kirk's report, Taurus 2 can get a little rough.
With that, we have our orders. Mears is one of the crewmen Kirk almost lost on Taurus 2. At the time she was simply a yeoman, but now it seems she's an ensign serving on board this very ship.
Ensign Tarsi, reporting for duty. The captain's asked me to make sure you get back in one piece, and I intend to do just that.
Thanks, Tarsi. What do you know about Taurus 2?
Let's see. M-class planet? Barely. The Taurians are big, primitive, and quick to anger. I'd keep my phaser handy if I were you. Speaking of which, if you want to follow me to the armory, we can make sure your phaser is properly calibrated.
Ensign Tarsi is an Andorian, and it seems she serves in a security purpose aboard the Armiger. Following her to the armory, we get a brief description on how to equip ourselves appropriately. Picking up a standard issue phaser pistol, we take it to the range and fire a few practice shots.
Good job, Lieutenant. That should be enough, unless you want more practice.
Moving on, we take note of an engineering lab, and I can't resist having a quick look around. Well, nothing amiss here, just the usual array of beeping bells and whistles and consoles, as well as power conduits running through the wall. Continuing on down the corridor, we see Ensign Mears waiting outside the shuttle bay to talk to us.
Ensign Mears, reporting is ordered. I'm ready when you are. Though I can't say I'm happy to see Taurus 2 again. I was one of the so-called Galileo 7, a science team sent to study the Murasaki effect. Our shuttle crashed on Taurus 2. Not all of us made it back to the Enterprise alive.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. You can see why I'm reluctant to return to such a place.
I do, but you're the only one on board with local experience. Your insight will be invaluable.
Yes, of course you're right, Lieutenant. I am a Starfleet officer and I will perform my duties. You can count on me.
Never doubted that for a second. Although clearly the events of the Galileo 7 mission have left her rather shaken, and I can't say I blame her. Reports suggest that the native Taurans are incredibly large in stature and very vicious, and as she said, not everyone made it off the planet in one piece. We note that the shuttle is called the Copernicus. It is a Type F shuttlecraft just like the one on board the Enterprise, which was called Galileo. Both astronomer-themed names. We see this convention of picking a category and naming small craft after it continued even into the eras of the 24th century. Runabouts are often named after great rivers, and here Class F shuttles, which serve much the same function, are all named after astronomers.
Ugh. It's just as grim as I remember it here. My skin is crawling. I can't help but feel like the creatures are out there, watching us, waiting to attack.
Stay alert, they very well could be.
Right. Okay. It appears the ship crashed somewhere north of here. There are 2 paths from here that lead to the crash site, and there may be survivors on both. I recommend you take Alpha Team along the northwestern path, and I'll take Beta to the northeast. We'll rendezvous at the main crash site.
That's a solid enough plan. Good, I'll see you there. Looking around this desolate, hazy planet, we can see the wreckage of the primary hull of a starship. The hulking structure is a complete wreck looming from the fog.
Is that a warp nacelle? Whoa. Big.
Yes, Tarsi, they are. But she does raise a point. It's very rare that you actually get to observe a deflector dish or a warp nacelle up this close, and it goes some way to showing the entire scale of the wreck. How many people must have been on board? A likely identifying piece of wreck captures our eye, so we give it a cursory scan.
Definitely Federation tech here. What's left of a shuttlecraft's coolant assembly, according to my tricorder.
Well, if there's a piece of a shuttle here, maybe the rest of it's nearby, and potentially survivors along with that. Working our way through the flames that are still burning.
There's your crashed shuttle. What's left of it, anyway. Look, someone's over there. I think they're hurt.
Ensign Tarsi then spots the shuttle up ahead. We spot an injured man amongst the flames, so of course we go to treat him. Whoa! Ow! Plasma! Even at this range, with it barely touching me, the superheated state of matter burns, and that crewman's in danger of being cooked alive.
Lieutenant, you won't be able to get close enough to revive him while that thing's venting plasma. Those valves should shut down the vents, though.
Our objective changes to shut off the plasma vents, which can be found at the fore, right where the pipe is spewing out the burning plasma, and the aft of the ship behind a maintenance panel. It's a good thing that basic training of Starfleet Academy teaches you general maintenance, as well as basic medical care for the field. We treat the survivor to bring him round, but he still seems panicked, and not just by the fire.
Thank you. We need to move. Those things, they're out there.
Oh no. The native Taurans must have been drawn by the crash.
Flores! Look out! What do they feed these things? Well, never mind.
Well, it seems a volley of phaser fire is enough to deter it for now, but surely it'll be back. I won't lie, I feel kind of bad for shooting it. It's clearly somewhat sentient. It's a species at the beginning of its evolution. Unfortunately, there's no way to convey our intentions.
I'm Dr. Phineas Grogan, part of a research team studying the Murasaki effect. Well, I was before the ship crashed. I was looking for supplies when that thing roared. Got distracted and then that plasma coil blew. Damn near killed me.
He is indeed lucky to be alive.
You're telling me? We should get those supplies back to camp. Dr. Mueller's probably worried sick about it by now.
So it seems the researchers have at least had time to set up a camp on the planet's surface.
Am I glad to see you? We thought we were stranded here with those monsters.
Well, you kinda were, which is why we're here. We'll get you out of here soon, don't worry.
Those supplies you brought will come in handy while we wait. Just put them over there for now. You know, I think there's some old phaser rifles in there. Might come in handy against those creatures.
There are rifles in that crate. We should show the survivors how to shoot them. I'll set up some targets while you get ready.
A phaser? I've never shot one of these before.
Wait,
You
want me to
between
shoot
two equipped
this?
weapon.
The targets are ready.
The next couple of minutes are spent briefing the Federation researchers on how to fire the phaser rifles correctly, giving them small pointers in the little time that we have to prepare them for the inevitable return of the Tauran natives.
They're right behind me!
Heads up! The Taurians are attacking!
This hardly feels fair. Although they are big lumbering brutes that seem to be able to take multiple shots, they are only armed with spears, and we have 23rd century phaser rifles.
We need to get these people to safety, Lieutenant. The Taurians will be back, and in greater numbers.
Still, they've already killed one of our men, so they are clearly not to be underestimated. Spotting the wreckage of the shuttle bay up ahead, we decide that the derelict may be a good place to hole up for some time. Up ahead, at the mouth of the canyon, we see Tarsi firing blindly into the ravine. We better hurry. If they decide to charge en masse, there's not much we could do to hold them back. After all, they've proved resistant enough to the phaser fire to be able to get in close enough for spears.
Lieutenant, we've held them off so far because they're scared of our weapons. But I don't think that'll last much longer. We've got to fall back to the wreckage. I might have an idea. Shut the doors! They're right behind us!
Glad to see the emergency power reserves are still strong enough to shut the giant shuttle bay doors.
Okay. Last time I was here, Commander Scott, electrified the hull of our shuttle. That drove the Taurians off when they tried to break in. Think we can pull something like that off here?
Okay, I mean, closing a door is one thing, but are we sure we have enough power to electrify the hull of the ship? Oh, let's give it a go.
You did it! Lieutenant, it worked! Bless you, Scotty, wherever you are. I think we owe you a very nice bottle of scotch.
As long as it's not mine. So what happened out there?
The Taurians ambushed us. I managed to escape, but the others, they've been taken. We've got to do something, and fast!
We task Mears with getting the survivors to the
I
shuttle.
was thinking, we can use our tricorders to track residual heat signatures left by the Taurians.
Heat signatures will dissipate quickly, but she's right, we can track them. They can't have got far, at least not with carrying some of our personnel. Along the route we encounter some Tausians as they creep out of some caves at an elevated position. They've got the drop on us and they throw their primitive weapons at us with uncanny accuracy. The levels they're taking to defend their captured prey is extreme. What do they want them for? Well, we track them on further into a cave. It seems as though they've at least discovered fire. Bound and squared away through the gloom, we can just about make out our personnel behind what must be the Tausian's chieftain. He wears a longer coat than the others and has shorter hair. And he displays incredible strength, tearing up boulders from the floor with his bare hands before launching them at us. No wonder in this primitive culture that he is the chieftain of them. With this level of Stone Age mentality, might makes right. But, like the others, he is slow and lumbering, and sustained phaser fire is easily enough to take him down. We see littered bones around the caverns. Clearly this was the communal area for them, and they seem carnivorous, mounting skulls upon banners as trophies, or perhaps warnings.
Thanks for coming back for us, sir. We owe you one. Pretty sure those things were gonna have us for dinner.
I think you may be right.
Fascinating. The Taurians appear to be in a late Stone Age state of development.
Now isn't the best time for an anthropology lecture, Skial.
Oh, come on, let the Vulcan talk.
Am I seeing things? Because those guys picking through the wreckage sure look like Klingons. Just what are the Klingons doing on Taurus 2?
Well, keep the phasers ready and primed just in case, but let's go find out. Now, I don't want to startle them, so we approach carefully. Okay, they're firing.
Looks like they're not in the mood for questions, Lieutenant.
Enemies sometimes drop items. An item has dropped for you. Move toward the item and press F to loot it.
Hey, is that a Klingon pad? Bring it to me. I have some experience decrypting Klingon data. My little sister's diary was harder to decrypt. Sure, Klingons are good at fighting, but computers aren't exactly their strong suit. And voila! One Klingon pad unlocked and ready for your inspection.
Captain Core, your plan has worked perfectly, sir. Many ships have fallen into our trap. We've snared a few merchant ships and a Starfleet science vessel so far. You'll be pleased to hear that we're picking up a Federation cruiser on long-range sensors. Constitution class. Time to hunt bigger game. Glory to the Empire!
Looks like the Klingons are using both guile and brute force here, Lieutenant. A pretty potent combination. The captain's definitely gonna want to hear about this.
Agreed. Now, the science vessel the Klingons were talking about must be the one that we're, well, standing in the wreckage of right now. But he mentioned another incoming ship. A cruiser, Constitution class. Well, that's not the Armiger. The Armiger is a pioneer-type vessel. So perhaps we have reinforcements on the way. God knows we could surely need it. Unfortunately, much like the natives of this planet, no Klingon we meet is interested in diplomacy.
Let's get back to the shuttle before more of them show up.
Well, more have shown up. Fighting our way through the wreckage of this downed Federation science vessel, it's very much a fight for survival as we struggle to get out of this trap that they've laid for us. It seems the Federation's well-known curiosity for scientific phenomena, as well as the repeated attempts to observe the planet's unique Murawski effect, makes it the perfect spot to ambush specifically Federation targets. This is the year 2270. The Treaty of Organia with the Klingons has been signed already, but it seems getting the Klingons to cease these pirate-like activities is like trying to teach an old dog new tricks.
We're ready to go when you are. Hope this thing's got enough fuel to get us back to the ship. Are you ready to board the shuttle, Lieutenant?
It seems this place really has left its impression on her. That comment about running out of fuel was the sole reason the Galileo, the ship that was here 3 years prior, was stranded on the surface in the first place. Spock almost had to make the decision to leave behind several of the crew members to reduce the shuttle's weight.
We made it. Never thought I'd be so happy to see a shuttle bay. I admit I had my doubts in the beginning. Didn't think I'd hold it together down there. Every time I heard those things roar. But here I am. Thanks for believing in me.
Couldn't have done it without you, Ensign. Thanks.
Bridge to shuttle bay. Please respond.
That sounded like an exchange of disruptor and phaser fire.
We have some uninvited guests, Lieutenant. We've been boarded. The Klingons have breached the hull on the engineering deck and blocked our access. Since I can't send security, I need you to secure the deck.
Aye, sir. Recommendations?
Start with the engineering lab. We need to bring our plasma relays back online. After that, secure the armory and main engineering.
We take the crew members with us that were just down on the planet. It seems the action's not over yet. So the Klingons have breached the hull on the engineering section and forced their way inside.
I'm remembering an old Earth adage about leaping from frying pans into fires. Your orders, Lieutenant?
Well, down the right side hallway there's an escalating firefight going along, whereas the left looks relatively secure, so we leave behind our personnel to assist. After all, we don't want to be snuck up on from behind. What's that up ahead? Ah, the Klingons, they're already in the engineering lab.
Shut down our primary plasma conduits. Get them running, fast.
The acrid smell of smoke with the sizzling electronics adds to the cacophony of klaxons going off in the background.
Plasma conduits reinitialized. Auxiliary power restored. Now clear out that armor.
Watch out! More Klingons!
Whoa, he was an excitable fella. Took me completely by surprise. Yeah, take that. And naturally we find them ransacking the armory. Using an overcharged shot to bust through his shields, I decide to finish it off with a bit more of a personal touch. Get off my ship.
Great work. Secure engineering next, if you can.
If I can. I'm on a roll.
We've cleared the rest of the deck, Lieutenant.
As before, we leave Tarsi and Mears guarding the corridor while we move into secure engineering. Now there's only the one Klingon in here, but he appears to be the commander of this little boarding party. Using the doorframe for cover, we manage to whittle him down before taking him out. He displays an impressive number of abilities, including a tactical visor and the ability to force me back.
Weapon power relays are up and running. Charge all phaser banks. I need you on the bridge, Lieutenant.
Sir, incoming transmission.
Federation starship, this is Captain Core. Surrender if you must, but I'd rather you fight with honor.
Good work, Lieutenant. The Klingons will think twice before they try to board this ship again. Now take the helm. We need to get to a friendly sector.
The ship is now secure, and we are rewarded with a myriad of components for the vessel, as well as Tarsi as the first bridge officer. Taking the helm, we steer the Armiger into battle.
Sensors are picking up Klingon power signatures in 2 nearby satellites. I'm thinking they're broadcasting the distress signals that lured in our ships. Bring us in close so we can scan them and find out.
This ties in with what the Klingons were saying down on the planet. They were reporting that they were luring ships here and that they had been successful before with the science vessel and us.
Science report coming in now. The satellites are using a triaxilating signal. It's strong enough to cut through the interference and reach ships outside the nebula. Clever. Almost a shame we have to blow them up, isn't it?
After destroying the 2 nefarious beacons, we're hailed by a Tellarite captain.
Can you hear us? We're under attack by Klingon raiders. Our shields are buckling. Won't last long.
Well, it seems like before we could take out those distress beacons, they lured in even more unsuspecting captains. On approach, we see a single raptor harrying the distressed vessel, and it opens fire immediately upon us. The Tellarite ship is in bad shape. We can see it venting what looks to be plasma, suggesting that its engines have been disabled. The raptor itself was easily taken out. In fact, the damage from it exploding does more damage to the shields than its weapons fire does.
Thanks for the help. Our engines are offline. Could you transfer some energy and get them started again?
Pulling aside the clunky vessel, we see it's no more than a mere freighter. We do as is requested and transfer some energy to get them on the way.
Thanks for everything. Good luck with the Klingons.
And it seems to be enough.
Lieutenant, I've made some modifications to our torpedo launcher. I think you'll like the results.
A second Raptor puts up a bit more of a fight, but it's still no match for the Pioneer-class vessel such as this.
More Klingon ships detected on...
Your head will decorate my fridge!
Fire!
Okay, now there are 2 of them. But after weathering a storm of hits from them, we realise they're not even getting through our shields. Pathetic. And I thought the Klingons were supposed to be warriors. Well, then again, getting a good look at these Raptors, we realise they are incredibly ancient models of Klingon vessel. Far older even than the D7s, which at the time were practically top of the line. These look like they belong in the 22nd century. Well, they're history now.
This is the USS Enterprise. Acknowledge, please.
Acknowledged, Enterprise. En route to your position now. The Enterprise is here?
So, the cub comes to fight beside the wolf, eh? And now you will die with him as well.
I'm not certain which one the wolf is and which one the cub is. After all, we've destroyed a number of your Raptors. Okay, enough being boastful. The Enterprise has engaged in combat with a D9 battleship. A D9? But I thought the D7 was the top of the range of this time. It looks like the Klingons have been busy over the last 3 years. This clunky ship design looks like it's some way between the D7 and the Voyager battlecruiser of later years.
Get over it, Kirk. I will avenge myself upon you and your lackey.
And Commander Kor runs away.
Thank you for your assistance.
Spock informs us that there are no longer any enemy signatures in the area.
Congratulations,
Looks like we're done.
Lieutenant.
Starfleet Command wants us and Enterprise back for a debriefing on this mess. Helm, set a course for Earth space dock. Warp factor 3.
With the crew of the crashed Federation vessel rescued, the Klingons successfully driven off and their distress beacons destroyed, I can't resist pulling alongside the Enterprise as we warp out of the sector together, heading off to the starbase to deliver our reports.
Captain Garrett wants to see you in his office, Lieutenant. But he says to feel free to mingle with the other officers first. I'd take him up on that if I were you. I mean, how often do you get the chance to meet the crew of the Enterprise? The best of the best.
Okay, Tarsi, stop gushing. I mean, yes, they kind of are, because they're a Constitution-class vessel, and at the time, those were the pinnacle of Starfleet, and usually manned by crews of similar experience and reputation. Walking into the lobby from the transporter pad, we see Welcome to Earth Space Dock, and looking around we see diagnostic controls looking at the condition and status of the several starships in orbit. Beyond that is the bar, where we find our crew and the crew of the Enterprise.
It's been a pleasure working with you. I didn't enjoy going back to Taurus too, but we got the job done thanks to you. Starfleet First Officers must be my good luck charm. Captain Garrett has requested me for a new logistics position here at ESD. Might not be as glamorous as the Final Frontier, but I've accepted. Until next time, good luck out there.
And with that, Ensign Mears is reassigned from the Armiger, the first of many reassignments to come.
If you're going into the Lion's Den, you'll need a medical officer.
It does seem that some of the dialogue from the original series is being repurposed here for the characters that we meet in Earth's space dock. But not all of them. Talking to the crew, they offer some advice.
That was some fine work back there, friend. It's not every day one walks away from a brawl with the Klingons. You look familiar. If you don't mind me saying so. Have we met before?
I don't think so, sir.
Ah, must be my imagination then. You meet a lot of folks serving in Starfleet, to be sure. By the way, I heard you're into the local wildlife on Taurus too. Right unfriendly devils, aren't they? I won't be forgetting those gigantic spears anytime soon.
On Taurus too.
Look me up sometime.
He was the one that came up with the plan to electrify. Thanks, Lieutenant Commander. I could use a good drink. Now, of course, Lieutenant Commander Scott was one of the people originally trapped on Tarsus.
We were in Starfleet Academy together.
Yeah, Chekhov. Sure. He seems to recall an incident involving me, a Rigelian flame rose, and an unfortunate activation of a fire suppression system. Alright, but I was pretty certain Chekhov graduated in 2267 and his first assignment was the USS Enterprise. Not sure how we could have met at the Academy, but okay.
You're the great bird of the galaxy. That's your planet.
Lieutenant Uhura of the Starship Enterprise.
I'm not certain if here I would have preferred to have re-recorded lines, but it's kinda nice to hear the original actors, even if you can hear the sounds of the set in the background. With the mingling done, we find our captain in the Admiral's office.
Thanks for coming. I have some good news to share. First off, Fleet promoted me to Admiral. I'll be working with Deep Space Command on several exploration initiatives there. Our ship's going to need a new captain. I've talked it over with Command, and they agree with my recommendation. You. Congratulations, my friend. I know the ship will be in good hands once I'm away. Don't think you've gotten rid of me, though. I plan on keeping you plenty busy out there.
Congratulations, Lieutenant. Every generation, Starfleet officers hear the call of duty. Hidden dangers lurk in space, and the threat of Klingon attack has made even the most stout-hearted reconsider their choice to travel throughout the stars. A last-ditch effort to find a common ground could end this conflict, but there are many who oppose peace. If the Federation is to be saved from chaos, new officers will need to take up the task of restoring peace. Live long and prosper, Lieutenant.
I've outlined who you should talk to while visiting Earth Space Dock. Speak with the tailor to customize your appearance. After that, speak with the ship vendor to claim a shuttlecraft.
Well, that is all said and done. The remainder of our time spent on Earth Space Dock is, as pointed out, familiarizing yourself with the location. I'll start with the bar, I think. So, despite our rank of lieutenants, we are now in command of our very own starship, with Tarsi as the number 1. The USS Armiger. A Pioneer-class vessel. The ship doesn't have many customization options by default, but I gave it a bit of a slightly updated paint job in certain locations to give it a bit of personal flair. But with all said and done, we can go ahead and leave the system. Adventure awaits.
Ensign Hunter, welcome aboard. I'm Security Chief Tarsi. Settling in okay?
It's going to take a little getting used to.
I can imagine. You'll be working with me in security, so if you need anything, just...
Thanks, Chief. I appreciate it.
Hey, don't mention it. Us red shirts stick together, right?
Right. You can count on me, Chief.
I like the little joke about red shirts having to stick together. They gotta watch out for each other, because God knows I'm not going to be looking out for their backs. It looks like a lot of the senior staff would have been reassigned with Captain Isaac Garrett. And to replace them, we've had new crew members come aboard from Earth Space Dock, including the security officer Hunter. I'm sure we'll put him to good use. So, setting course for our next destination, I hope to see you in part 2. This will be a continuing series following the adventures of the USS Armiger and her crew throughout the 23rd century and maybe beyond. Next time we begin our first mission as captain. Let's hope we can set a good precedent for our first command. And thank you again for watching. I've been Rick, and until next part, I'll see you later.